everybody? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? This is your boy Eric G, and welcome to a brand new episode of Random Thoughts with Eric G. Hey, y'all, man, tonight's gonna be a good episode, man. I want to talk about the community leaders. Everybody know that I have more work with kids, and I have a great guest here tonight. Probably another one when they come in, but I have a great guest here tonight, and we're gonna talk about what we do. So before we get started, let me do what I always do. Y'all, let me share my random thoughts, man. Random thought, man. Do y'all want to know something that really irritates me? I mean, it really irritates my soul. I'm so mad that I get so mad that the back of my knees get wet and and the front of my knees get ashy. That what really makes me mad. You know what I'm saying? One thing that really gets on my nerve is when I'm in the grocery store doing my weekly duties, supplying for my family. You know what I'm saying? I notice other people doing their nightly duties, stash and grab, shoplifting, five finger discount, whatever you want to call it. Not my business. But anyway, I see you doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? I see that you see me, see you doing your thing. I don't have nothing to do with it. I'm gonna turn my head. I don't know you in that moment. You don't know me in that moment. All right. But what really irritates my soul is when you see the management or the people in the store looking at you, you decided you all of a sudden want to talk to me. Don't do that. That's something that really irritates my soul. You want to talk to me. Now you bringing the heat over here, and everybody thinking that I'm stealing. I'm paranoid already, so I'm seeing you gets me scared. So I don't know what's going to happen. So you know what? In that moment, just go on by your business. I don't know you. Do your thing, and just meet me behind the store when the stuff is over, because I know you got steaks for the Lolo. And like I said, just let me do what I got to do here, man. I'm just trying to be a good dude, live my good life, and you know what I'm saying, and buy my food with my food stamps I just bought. If you none of y'all business. All I know if y'all got them, 50 cents on the dollar. All right, y'all, man. Yo, that's just my random thought. Let's get this show started. Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Yo, this is the new season 5 of Random Thoughts with Eric G. I have a great guest here today. How you doing, Ms. Lewis?
Hello, how are you?
Doing great. Doing great. I can't complain. How's everything going for you?
Everything is going well.
It's going well. See, I like how you're so subtle and I'm so hyped. I gotta calm myself down to your level.
No, you're fine.
Hold on a second. Let me put my little headset on so I can get into this interview. I can turn it on. See, this is what happens when you're not prepared. Well, anyway, so I want to make sure I get your name right. It's Miss Anya, right?
Ayana.
Ayana, that's what it is. See, I'm sorry. I
That's
apologize.
okay.
I've been texting you all day, and I've been saying it in my head. I'm saying our name right. Hey, so tonight I want to give a spotlight on to the community leaders. I feel like living in a small town like I do. I live in Henderson. I think you're Henderson too, right? Or
I am. Kittrell.
in
Yep.
Henderson.
Henderson. Same thing.
Oh, same thing. Yo, but being in a small town like Henderson, we seen the ins and outs. You seen that we are dealing with a big thing when it comes to crimes. We're dealing with drugs. We're dealing with kids running uncontrolled. Um, and I feel like I'm glad that we actually got a wave of people now. It's starting to make a difference. And a person like yourself, man, I really want to appreciate you because I actually found out about you from a friend of mine, Miss Phyllis Evans.
Oh,
And
yes. Miss Phyllis.
yeah, and so she told me about you, and when I did my teachers episode,
Mhm.
she told me about you. She told me that you have an organization, and I was thinking like, I couldn't get her for my teachers episode. I would love to get her for my community leaders episode.
Mhm.
So before we get started with anything, you want to like tell everybody about yourself? and what you do.
Yes, as he stated, I'm Ayana Lewis, and I am the co-founder along with my husband. We are the founders of the AbriasChaseFoundation, which is located right here in Henderson, 205 Dabney Drive. We started the foundation um, in 2009. We had a tragic loss. Our son and daughter transitioned to be with the Lord after a house fire. And after that moment, we wanted to make sure that this happened to nobody else. If we could prevent it in any way, that's what we wanted to do. So, my husband, June, and I made it our mission to help families to prevent this. And so, our foundation, which is named after our children, the Abria's Chase Foundation, my daughter, her name was Abria, and my son was Joshua Chase, and she was 12 and he was 1. And what we do is we educate on fire safety. So we work on the prevention side of it, where we provide smoke detectors, batteries, checks. When we started, we still partner with the fire department, but we did a lot. They used to go into the different houses, knocking on doors, asking people, can we check your smoke detector? And so we traveled with them, a few times, and that was just really rewarding to be able to just help people. And I think that the fire chief at that time, which was Danny Wilkerson, he started that after we'd had like our fire, and there was a fire the year before. And so this, I think, was the initiative that was started after that because it was such great loss. And so we provide them still to this day. We provide smoke detectors and batteries. We also talk about exit plans, making sure families have exit plans. If something were to happen, have you talked with your family about what to do? If a fire started, where do we meet outside? Are we able to get outside? What should you do? Um, and then we also have a support group for parents who have lost children. And so we do that the second Monday of each month at our foundation. We have a support group, and that is just, it is such an amazing group just to provide support to those who have, suffered loss, because it is an extremely hard thing. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
and so, yeah, those are some of the things that we do.
See, I appreciate it. First, of all, I want to say I'm sorry about your loss. Um,
Thank you.
and secondly, I want to say I really appreciate the work that you're doing. Already before we even start talking about anything, I want to appreciate that because I don't think a lot of people actually have plans for what happened if situations like that happen. Um,
Right.
and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I mean, sorry, man. I just with my
You're
family,
fine.
I like I say I slack on that too. You know what I'm saying? We prepare for everything else. I mean, we got insurance plans. We got stuff to replace stuff, but you can't replace a life, and you got to be able
Right.
to try to do the best you can to protect your family. And I really appreciate what you said. Have making these plans off of these families and actually reaching out to people who lost family members. So like I said, I
Absolutely.
commend. If ain't nobody gonna give you your flowers, I'm gonna give you two on the day. I appreciate that. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Well,
So
well, a little bit about myself, real quick. My name is Eric Green. I go by Eric G for my podcast. A lot of people don't know that I have a organization, 501c organization, which I got to renew. That's a whole other story. Anyway, uh, it's called the Green Rose Foundation. I named it after my mother. My mother's name is Annie Rose Green. Um, but I call it. But anyway, she passed when I was a kid. So I got an organization where I mentor kids. I mentor the youth, and I go to different schools. I host events. Back when we had the stadium, I used to do skate nights for the kids. I take kids to the. I was able to talk to a lot of kids because I mean a lot of kids I really dealt with actually lost parents just like I did. Um, and it's amazing because I feel like a lot of people don't speak to these kids on their level, and they get to understand that these kids are dealing with big life problems. You know what I'm saying? I think us as parents, we just shut them off because they're our kids, but they actually dealing with stuff. And I was glad I was able to put myself in a place where I can deal with these kids who lost a lot.
mhm.
But
That's
I
amazing.
appreciate it. Thank you.
I think that that is so needed. That is one of the next initiatives that we are working on for the fall is to have a support group for children who have lost. Because as you said, there are different things in place, for adults, but the children who have lost, they're hurting, they're suffering. It's a lot of things. I saw a student at the school that I work with. The student lost a parent, and it was extremely hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought,
Mm-hmm.
life just goes on for some people, but for this child, just as for a parent who has lost, like their lives are changed forever, and they need that
Exactly.
help, that mentoring, that you know, someone to encourage them to say it's going to be okay. Like we're going to get through
Yeah.
this. And so that is another piece that we are adding in the fall.
Yes, ma'am. So, let's get back into a little bit of your background. You are a teacher.
Mhm. I
So
am.
what has been how long have you been teaching, and what school do you teach at, or you still teach, or you used to?
I do. I still teach.
Okay.
So I have been in the school system for almost 20 years. I've only
Okay.
been teaching 2 years.
Okay.
This is coming up on my third year. I am at the advance and I teach first grade.
Okay. Okay. So what has been I want to say this. What is your I know we already had my teachers episode, but what has been something what has been needed as a teacher in this community? I feel like we do need a lot more teachers, but what do teachers need?
Um, I think from my perspective, so of course, every teacher, may say supplies, like classroom supplies are always,
Right. Right.
needed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but for me in teaching, just making sure I have everything I need to be able to teach the students effectively. And,
Mm-hmm.
we've pretty much been able to do that, having the supplies and different things like that. Um, but I think the students need to see, so like in my classroom, we do different days of different activities for different days of the week. And
Mm-hmm.
so, just exposure is what, to me, students need more of. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of our kids have not been outside of Vance County, and you
Mm.
wouldn't believe that, but there are so many students that have not. I used to work for a program within Vance County called Gear Up,
Oh, I
and
remember
this
that.
was, you remember Gear Up?
Yeah, I remember
So
you.
the
Yeah.
students, we would take them on college tours and field trips outside of Henderson. And I remember one year we took them to the mall, and the students were so amazed to see a food court with multiple restaurants in it. They had not seen it before. And
Right.
these are middle school students that are screaming, Miss Lewis, the stairs are moving. I am afraid to get on these moving stairs. But they had not seen escalators. So these are things that sometimes we take for granted, but just making sure our kids get exposure, they're able to see different things. And so with COVID happening, it slowed down a lot of the field trips that we're able to have. And so for my
Mm-hmm.
classroom, we did like virtual college
Mm.
tours and different things like that. And these
See.
are first graders. So to expose them to different colleges on the first grade level, I think it is just good. So we would have what we call Future Focused Friday. And so we would just go on tours, and they absolutely loved it. Half of the class would say, "Oh, I'm going to this school or I'm going to that school," just based on the things that they saw on the video. So I think exposure is a great thing that our students need.
Hey, I respect that. See, that's a great teacher. I feel like if teachers get more in depth with their kids and allow their kids to believe they can do anything, we can have a better outcome, especially for the city. I really love what you did there. I really love that. And as a kid who, like I said, I didn't grow up in the best areas, so I didn't get a chance to venture out of Henderson until I got older. So, and I remember my wife was talking. When we first started dating. I was amazed. Like I was excited just to go to Red Robin because I'm like, I never got a chance to experience that as a
Right.
kid. So I really appreciate that. We got another guest here tonight. Hold on, to make sure I get him in. Mr. Blake. Hello, you muted, boss. You muted. You muted. Let me get you. Got you. Got
All
you.
right.
Hey,
Hello, sir. How you doing?
how you doing?
I'm good. Sorry for my tardiness a little. Hello, Miss Lewis. How are you?
I'm good. Hope you are.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Thank you so much for inviting me, man, to talk on your
Hey,
podcast today. I'm so
hey, I
excited.
appreciate it. I appreciate. I've been knowing. See, a lot of people don't know. I've been knowing Blakely since we was little kids, man. I've been knowing him, and I've
Absolutely.
been watching the hard work he has done over the years. And it's only right to bring you on to this episode because I feel like you have a voice for the community, and there's a lot of stuff you really want to do.
Oh man, it's a lot of stuff that I have really been engaged in
Okay.
within this community since I was about 24.
Okay.
Now I'm 34. So there are a lot of things that I've done, served on a lot of community commissions and not council, commissions and boards, and with our arts council, parks and recs, and helped a lot of 501c3s and community activities and engagement. I won't get into all title naming, but it's just been some fun things that we have done in the community, and just talking on that, I think a strong community banding together, that it brings a lot of things together. Economics, from that standpoint, it brings opportunities that may not um, be possible. And I think from a community standpoint, when we come together, one of my challenges I think that I've seen over the last 10 years is that sometimes in small, marginalized communities, we have all of these silos in different pockets of community. Let me just use our city for an example. You have where we grew up in Mobile, then you have in the area of Flint Hill, then you have Hilltop. But you have all these different types of solos of organizations that are doing the exact same thing. And one of the things I've learned is working in the community, bringing all of those solos together. It brings so many resources. It brings so much access to different things. So, from a community standpoint, I love it. I love seeing people come together. I, you know, I,
Mhm.
I am really an advocate of collaboration and not competition. Because if we collaborate,
Mm.
there's nothing we can't do together. There's nothing we cannot do together as a community. So I applaud just being on your platform with that.
Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you. One thing I'm asking about you, Blake. Um, like Miss Lewis said, I know the reason what her standpoint about why she started her organization. What was your
Hmm.
reason for working with the community? What brought you to it?
One word: politics.
Okay.
Um, and I think that working in the community, I see that a lot of times we find more differences than commonalities. Um, and I think that we do a lot of the same things. And again, as I spoke before about collaborations, politics have taught me a lot about resources, about how intergovernmental organizations work together. And a lot of times, while the community sometimes, again, are in their silos and sometimes fighting and bickering with each other, these entities and organizations are working
Mhm.
together. And I've learned that a lot. I've learned how finances work together. I've learned how I know we have our own separate identities, but at the same time, there has to be some type of unity that brings us and bridges together. So when I was running for office, I ran for office at 24 or 25. I was one of the youngest ones to run against Mr. George Day. Then I ran again not too long after that, a couple of years later, against Miss Ferdinand Simmons, um, and who's now deceased and passed away. but just
Right.
politics, learning the back roads of what Parks and Rec look like, learning how to what funding is, funding to do these community activities. Because I think a lot of times it's just sometimes we are limited by resources.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can just bring you have one person like me have $10,000 sitting on this side, and I bring in another $10,000. Guess what? We got $20,000, and if we're not bickering and competing and collaborating, that $20,000 can continually build. So bringing those resources, politics, bringing those resources together has really taught me a lot about community.
Well, I do feel like one thing, piggyback on what you said, is a lot of competition. I do feel like a town this small does face a problem with everybody trying to stand out. And instead of understanding that we as a community is open for everybody. I mean, like Ms. Lewis, like your work you do with people who have lost and or fired. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be nobody else against that. It should be a place where you should be able to join forces with somebody, and we all here for the same thing. You know, I do feel like we do a biggest part we do have in this small town is that everybody's so quick for being for themselves instead of being together. That's one reason why I want to have this show, because I would love to see different people, like different organizations, come together, because a lot of the people in this town only know one thing and they stick with that. Ms. Lewis, back to your organization. Quick question, because I know a lot of people face problems of trying to start organizations, getting your 501(c)(3)s, and trying to move forward. What was your process in you getting your organization off the ground?
First, we made the decision to do it. My sister helped us to get our articles of incorporation. I had another friend, I hear you all talking about like the collaboration piece, but I had people that were willing to help us put it together. I had another friend who helped me write the 501(c)(3). I wrote it, sent it off. We were approved. And from there, we ran the foundation out of our home for years, because not only do we do the prevention side, but we also help families who have had fires. So if you've had a fire, sometimes we extend hotel stays. Sometimes the majority of the time we provide clothing, furniture, all of those things to help you get back on your feet. And we did it out of our home for years. And just in 2022, we opened up the foundation where people have a centralized location where they are able to come and to get the support that they need.
Hey, I appreciate that. One thing too, Ms. Lewis, I'm gonna ask, I know a lot of people try to figure out, how do you get money for this? How do you get grants? How do you how do you apply for this stuff? Because I think a lot of people are scared that we don't have the money to do it. How did you go by it?
So we're not grant funded. Our funds are most of our funds are just from me and my husband. But we do fundraisers. So one of the biggest fundraisers we do is a cheerleading competition in November, but that doesn't support the foundation, on a large scale. But we do that. Last year we did a Giving Tuesday push, and we were able to secure funds through our Giving Tuesday push. But other than people who come in, there are people who just make donations. They bring their clothes, their furniture, all of those things. When we opened our doors, people flooded our doors with stuff, and we were just really grateful because we've been able to help so many. I think about a month ago, a girl had a fire. We were able to provide her the bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, all of that free of charge. She didn't have to pay anything, but it's just solely from donations. But we are looking to expand and to write grants. We have not secured grant funding like that on that scale, but we are looking to do that because right now it is really my husband and I who fund the foundation.
Man, see, what I love about you already. No matter, it's nothing stopping you from doing your dream, man. I love that.
Right.
Blake, on your end, man, I know you do a lot of work, like I said, behind the scenes when it comes to the politics and trying to do work with the community. What has been some of the activities and events that you have hosted and brought to the forefront?
From a political perspective, we just did an event on the Supreme Court Justice tour with an organization called Black Voters Matter out of Atlanta. They brought the large size tour bus through Vance County. It was one of the first stops, and we was able to get information, particularly about out to marginalized and underserved communities about voting, being registered. And so those types of push, I'm a big advocate for voter education and voter registration. That's just what I like when it comes to those types of things politically. But overall, I think that there's a lot of good people, no question, that are doing great things. And let me just take a moment, because I want to say this before you ask. Let me take a moment and celebrate Mrs. Muster and Mrs. Lewis Foundation. I want to personally say thank you.
Thank you.
Personally, I want to say thank you to her, because their foundation, I would openly say, this helped one of my family members had a fire. And I appreciate that, because a lot of times I think that the resources are limited. Resources are very limited and sometimes scarce. But if we attach ourselves to things, not just like with Red Cross, they give you the hotel, but it's only for a limited amount of time. And sometimes those people that are the people that are affected most by these fires, that they don't have resources or funding. So there's got to be some more events, and I would say informational workshops, I would say, that bring to the forefront for communities. And I've been a part of those things that I've helped bring to the community. Informational workshops that are bringing to the community, so that foundations, nonprofits, 501c3s, 501c4, it's like 20 501c something. I can tell you that. I know that. But bringing to the forefront these resources, informational sessions that people can utilize to help and expand and connect and collaborate with national chapters that are doing what they want to do as a 501c3. Again, but I just wanted to celebrate her in that moment. But those are the things that I'm doing.
Thank you.
Those are the things that I'm doing, is making sure information is presented. Because I think a lot of time it's not that we want to keep creating these silos. I just think people just don't know the information that is out there. And so I think I have a responsibility to make sure that these organizations are coming to the forefront and getting the information from HUD, getting the information that they need to expand their businesses. It's education. It really is. I know we want to all be helpers one to another in our communities, but at the same time, while we're trying to help, sometimes we can have so many things and be wanting to do the same thing on this larger scale that we're actually working against each other and not working with each other. There are opportunities for different organizations to get a lot of funding on that. So I think that's one of the things that I am on a mission to do and have been doing for a while, is helping people connect and get money. Now they have to pay me somewhere along the line, but I help people with that. I'm being honest about that.
So real quick, one thing about you too, Blake, I want to make sure, because I know that one thing about this place like Henderson, we are plagued with a lot of violence. We are plagued with a lot of like us. We fighting against each other a lot. You know what I'm saying? And being as kids who, I'll be honest with you, I'm a kid from the hood, so you know me. Like that's what we grew up doing. We grew up fighting. That's what we did. But my thing is, I feel like now that it's worse now for the kids nowadays, because there's not a lot of outlets out here for the kids. What do you think we need in this community, and how can you think we can get it?
One word: collaboration. Not competition. Collaborations, and not fighting against each other. And I know when I say that, and let you invited me on your platform. I'm a very blunt guy. You know this. I think that ultimately we have so many people that just want to do their own thing. I don't disagree with that, but there has to be unity in the community. seriously. There has to be that, and we have to come together. We have so many. I will say this: we have so many churches, we have so many 501c3s, we have so many civic engagement groups. But as I'm seeing a lot of these entities, we're having to rebuild. If we're constantly rebuilding and not being committed and not being consistent to where we are wanting to be, we're going to always stay in this hole. You're going to always have violence. You're going to always have poverty. And attached to poverty, a lot of poverty is violence.
Right.
It's attached to that. So we have to change the economics. And in order to do that, again, I've said it all night and I continue to say it. It is all about us coming together, unifying. We could all use the services and helping expanding Mrs. Lewis and Mr. Lewis's organization with helping people with fires. We can use youth outlet organizations. They need sports. Wait, we did sports coming up. You know what I'm saying? We did sports. Yeah. I traveled everywhere. Miss Lewis said something earlier about them not knowing about an escalator. Now, I was never that lost. But, you know, I had summer programs that we went to. I got to shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Moore. We'll go down there when, where is it? The Soul City. I was never at home. I was never at home in the summer. Right. We was always in Soul City at that pool. We was going on that little bus with Pastor Eddie Wright. We was always going somewhere. And he did that as far as community. I mean, at some point, you got to take your community back. I'm very passionate about that. And we'll hear more from me at a later time. But there are some things that we have to, as a community, come together. Stop fighting against each other. That ain't helping nothing. Right. You know, all this fighting going on. You know, we got voter ID situations. Look at how many people that in marginalized Black communities don't have an ID. People aren't checking their voter registration. There are a lot of things community we need to do, but we have to band together to do it. I'm gonna leave that alone because I can really talk on that subject matter.
No, I respect that. So this question is gonna be kind of deep, man, and I want to ask this to you, Ms. Lewis, because I know you have the actual organization where when stuff like this happen. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had to take a hit. I took a big hit with my organization. I kind of died down from it because, like I said, I'm a mentor and I work with kids. But one of the biggest fallback for me was one of my kids actually got killed, and it hurt me to the place where I'm like, look, maybe I didn't reach him like I should have, and it took me a while to want to even start back up with trying to do anything with working with kids because I didn't want to have the attachment to them, and then something like this happened. You know what I'm saying? So I'm asking to you, Ms. Lewis, what has been a low moment, and how did you overcome that through your organization? I know you said how your organization started, and I'm really sorry on that one. But what has been a low moment through your organization, and how do you overcome stuff like that?
That is hard. And one thing I know just in teaching and working with kids, you may not be able to change everyone's life. And so if you look at it from the perspective of, I may not reach every one of them, but if I at least can reach one, I've made a difference. Loss is hard on any level. You know, you hurt when you see these kids. I've worked with these kids so many years, and, you know, when I see them and one has transitioned, it is hard. It is hard. Now, with our foundation, I think if I can't, you know, really say a low moment, but I will say in support group, when you're in there and you're hearing all of these stories of people who have lost children, it's hard. It is hard because it will take you back to when you lost sometimes. And so there are some commonalities in that we all lost. It may be different ways that we lost, but loss is loss. And so if I were just to think of a moment that is like a tearjerker or just kind of breaks your heart, is hearing that another mother has to go through this. Or for every loss that I hear in Henderson when someone has lost a child, it just hurts my heart because I don't want another mother to feel the pain of loss. And I don't care what it's due to. It could be from a fire to sickness to gun violence. Loss is loss and it hurts. So
that's very
that's
true.
the biggest thing, the hurt of knowing that another parent has to endure that pain, because it is a pain like no other. And that's a hard moment. I often tell people, when I welcome them into support group, I'm glad that you're there, but I hate that you have to be a part of this group. I hate it. I wish you didn't have to be, but we're here because, you know, and so that is just, I think, the hardest part, to say, wow, welcome to the club kind of thing. It's just a hard moment.
Right. Right. So do you feel like now that, I mean, once you go through that, do you feel like a sense of I'm doing this for a purpose? This is my purpose
Absolutely.
outside of
Absolutely.
anything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
I often say, when we first lost, I really, I knew, I told the Lord, I still love you, I still trust you, but I don't understand. And I knew that there was a purpose to it. And I often, because I went back to the Bible, because it is my guidance for everything. And I went in and I read of different parents who had lost children throughout the Bible. But there were different stories, and there's a story of Joseph in the Bible, and you may know the story. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery. Joseph's dad thinks he's dead all of these years, and Joseph has to go through a lot. He's put in a pit, he goes to Potiphar's house, he's put in a prison, but from there he goes before Pharaoh, and he becomes second in command. Now, all of this happens to Joseph, and it looks and it seems so hard. He didn't deserve these things. He didn't do anything to get there, but he was there. And at the end of the story, Joseph's brothers come, and there's a famine in the land, and there was 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine, and Joseph is now over all of the grain. So people have to come to him to get food. And so when the people come to him for food, his brothers, the same ones that threw him in the pit, who didn't know what happened to Joseph, they have to now come back to him. They don't recognize him at first, but through the story, and it's more to the story, but I'm trying to give you a condensed version.
Yeah, I know.
He ends up revealing himself, and his dad ends up coming. Pharaoh allows the whole family to come, and they're staying there with Joseph. They're in the land with Joseph, and the dad dies. And when Joseph's dad dies, his brothers say, I know you're going to kill us now. Like, you're going to get us for what we did to you. And Joseph tells them, you meant this for evil, but God meant it so that he could save some. And so I say all that to say it took a long time for Joseph to realize why he had to go through what he went through. But by the end of Joseph's story, he understood that the Lord used him. So in our lives, like at the beginning of our story, I didn't know how, and I still question sometimes, like, I don't know about this or that. But I do realize that when we suffered that loss, it opened the door to be able to help mothers and fathers and people who are just suffering through loss to have a safe place to come and work through it in a healthy environment. So we're able to help more families. We're able to do a lot of things. So at the beginning, I didn't see that. But as time progresses, I see purpose in everything that we do.
I love that. Love that. You spoke a word here tonight. Now you got me in my feelings. So let me. Oh, my heart. All right, I love that. I love that. Love that. Lord, no, I needed that today. But I really do appreciate that, because I think people don't understand that darkness don't always last. We go through these trials and tribulations to come on the other side as a stronger person. And that was the meaning of me doing it with my organization. Like I said, I was a kid who I'm from the hood and all that, man. And what actually got me was I had a mentor when I was in I say fourth or fifth grade. Mr. John Rainey, who owns City Tires, he just passed. John Rainey was my mentor, and I remember that I remember that he put me and my little sister in art school. And I took with me for the rest of my life was during the summertime. He took us, and I know it looked weird on the outside. This old white man with these two little black kids, but he took me and my sister, put us in art school. And I remember that during school he would come eat lunch with me, and then not just eat lunch with me. He went to England and brought back the pounds, and he wanted me to have pounds because he said that one day I'm gonna go get them. I'm gonna get my own, and
Wow.
he spoke that life into me. And what I wanted to do was I want that same example. I want to be that same example to a new generation of kids
Mm-hmm.
because I want them to feel that when you don't feel like you're nothing, you are something. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that was my journey for being a mentor. And I know, like I said, it's like you said, it's never easy. It's never easy. Um, you have pushback a lot. You have people and it's weird because we live in a society where if a grown man being friendly to kids, it looks oh so we have stuff like that. But we got to the place where I do feel it rewarding. It's rewarding for me to actually see these kids grow. And my first set of kids are now about, I think, almost finna graduate high school, and
Wow.
I just love seeing that. Blake, back to you, man. Hey, yo, coming from where we come from, man, what issues do you bring to the forefront when you do those chamber of commerce meetings, those city council meetings? What issues do you bring from the neighborhoods that we came from?
Oh man. Well, one, we have to be more engaged, more involved. And I think a lot of people just, honestly, I just think people have lost hope. Honestly. And I'm being extremely transparent today. I think people have just lost hope. Um, and people get this encouraged. But I'm telling you, man, I think the issues are just that a lot of things are just scattered across the city. You don't see people coming to city council meetings, and you don't see people participating in those boards or elections. I mean, we have a major election getting ready to come up in October, a municipal election for 2023 that I believe is going to be very important to our third reconstruction of the United States of America all across this country. I believe that. But ultimately, when I talk about issues, we got to get people back engaged. We got to build the community life of this community coming up. I remember as a kid going downtown to Color Fest.
Oh yeah.
These kids don't know what Color Fest was. And listen, we talk about this, and it is what it is. I'll get in trouble. I don't really care who don't like what I say. But this is what I say now. We have this car show. And it brings about good numbers of people, and I appreciate that. I love going, and I love seeing me some good muscle cars. I love me a 1965 Stingray Corvette. I love seeing that. But we let something go in Color Fest that was bringing well over 15,000 people to this city, that was economically transforming this city. So we let a lot of things in our youth era when we was going downtown, a lot of that stuff we let go, and we have to, as a community, take the community back. And I don't think people realize as a community. I don't think the community realize as a community how much power that the community has if it unifies and comes together. You understand what I'm saying? We have to unify, and then you have many people that works in government, and I have a problem with that. But at the same time, there are challenges that comes with bureaucracy that people cannot necessarily deal with because my job is on the line, or I can't say this, I can't say that, and people getting scrutinized for saying stuff nowadays. I've been scrutinized all my life for saying stuff because I'm gonna say what needs to be said regardless. I can deal with that. And I'm not really trying to be a people pleaser on that scale. But what I'm saying is that as a community, I bring many issues, voter ID issues. I bring issues of recidivism. I mean, I worked in the prisons and jails. I bring those things up. We have the youth not having activities. We have a lot of things that we're not doing, but all of that is attached to education and economics. Now, whether we want to address that or not, we're not investing in our own community. That's not the politician's fault. That's the citizen's fault. We have to.
So questions on that though. what do you say about people who feel like it's no hope in them voicing their opinions? Like we do feel that a lot of the times when you do the city commerce meetings or you do those city council meetings, a lot of the black voices is not being heard. What do you
Right.
say? How do you get? How do you feel? How do you get these people to feel like, okay, cool, this is we're important and we can make a change and a change is going to happen in this city.
Collaboration, strategizing,
Mm-hmm.
and working that strategy out. I'm serious. If we try to figure out every single step, you'll be in. One thing that bothers me sometimes about any organization and entity, we look at what we don't have, but we don't look at what we do have left. And we got to bring those resources and say, look, I may not have all the money, but look, I got something. This is what I bring. This is what my skill set brings. You know how valuable intelligence is?
Right, right.
Education, all of that. That stuff is valuable, but we downplay it. We let other people downplay that. As community, I'm not talking about just blacks. I'm just saying
Mm-hmm.
as people that are coming together with the same mindset. As a community, we have to come together. We have to take these issues that we're so concerned about, and some people won't speak out about. Some people are afraid to speak out of. No, no, enough of that. Enough of
Mm-hmm.
that. I appreciate the story of Miss Lewis telling about Joseph. That's wonderful. And on his journey to being second in command, I understand all of that. But at the same time, in order to do that, he was able to save a community. Because guess what? He was in position of power to do so. But he strategized. Joseph was a strategist.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was able to get those results. But we
Mm-hmm.
as a community have to strategize to be
Mm-hmm.
better. We want better. We got to do better. We can't keep
Hey.
accepting the things that are given to us. I mean, just look at it. Look at the maps being redrawn. I know I'm talking from a political spectrum. I can talk from a community spectrum, but looking at this from a maps,
Yeah, both.
we went to 2018. We had to go North Carolina alone. Had to go to the highest court in the land, Supreme Court
Mm-hmm.
justices, because we want to do gerrymandering in maps. Then we got it overturned, said it was illegal. We went right back, lost the judicial branch, and had to go back again, put it back to the high courts again. And they've
Mm-hmm.
already overturned the voter ID. And now we're
Mm-hmm.
back to the square one. And these things are happening right in front of our eyes for marginalized communities. And as a community, we're watching it unfold. We're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Collaboration and strategy is going to get us there. But we got to
Mm-hmm.
come together. I love what so many business owners in this city and in this county is doing. Matter of fact, we got more black business owners I have seen
We do.
in a
We do.
wow.
So what questions too I have because I want to ask this right here. What's been really spoken about I guess the whole aspect of businesses now. Do you feel that Henderson is a town that could face gentrification? Um, that's bringing that's changing up the way the city is.
It's already facing gentrification. It ain't if it can be. Gentrification is
Okay.
already happening.
Okay.
See, and I think that we're
Okay.
so far behind the eight ball of that. That's already happened. You can see that with the two developments that are happening within some of our housing projects. Look, we're 3,000 houses short in the city. Then you have several housing projects that are taking place in what is it? Not Happy Hill, West End. Then you got Flint Hill. I mean, it's so much gentrification of people being pushed out from every city. Durham, Raleigh, they're coming from there, pushing them into Franklinton, and we're catching the overflow of that. I mean, people, man, it's so many issues that are happening right now. It ain't in the future. It's not if it's gonna happen. It's
Mm-hmm.
happening. And I
Right.
think from smaller marginalized communities, we're not paying attention to that. And some people are
Mm-hmm.
paying attention and they know, but we're not doing anything. So being able to do things as a community, as saying,
Mm-hmm.
listen, this is Vance County. And as Vance County, we are going to stand together in this. And when you can bring the numbers to stand together and come together, I mean, it makes a difference. I commend the teachers that are teaching in our public school system. and they're doing the best they can with the resources they have. But I don't think we even understand, and Ms. Lewis, you might can help me here. I'll leave this open for you to help me. The challenges of just school supplies. We're losing teachers, school supplies, school funding. People are not coming back. Schools are not schools anymore. When you and I was going to school, I don't remember. Matter of fact, I go to the school, think I'm going to the prison. Because they have to have so much security now. Just for security threats. Now that protects the children, and I understand it's a sense for parents. But Eric, when we was in school, we didn't have these challenges that schools face. They're losing so much money to charter schools.
Right.
Private charters that are getting public funding. And that is really creating, people don't want to say it, and people don't want to talk about it, but that's creating a whole nother thing of segregation. That's segregation. We're going back to Jim Crow, and people don't want to sit there and address that, but it's happening. And if we don't unify, we will. Just today, they changed the law. They voted and put now there's going to be an option where when we go to vote in the voting system, you're going to be able to punch it in an automatic system and print out your ballot and then take it to the tabulator. Not just doing the regular ballot voting. There's a lot of laws. 8 laws went into effect July 1 that's going to affect everybody for the next 10 years. That is going to be hard to amend and or ratify. But community has to stand up. Community has to say enough is enough. The community have to do to support people because these, especially, and I'm not saying this because Ms. Lewis is a teacher, but I'm looking at this. Teachers, education, our economical system is under attack from every angle. And we have to say something. We have to stand up as a community. That's why I fight in community. That's why I'm at those city council meetings. That's why I'm part of all of these entities and organizations. Because if we don't, we're gonna be in a real fight if we lose this municipal election. Now that's just a fact. But I'll let that go. But we have to do better.
Understand that.
We have to.
Understand that. But my thing is, I want to say this: we first thing we got to do is we got to get on the same accord when it comes to the situations like that, because we have so many people with the same ideas just fighting against each other. But how do we get to a place where we all can see each other and get to a place where we all can collaborate and get together? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
One person saying, yo, I can do this, but being quiet doesn't mean nothing. We need people to actually get together and work this out. I think it's strategy in numbers. We need more people to come together to those city council meetings. Don't mean, but the thing is, a lot of people, especially, I'm gonna be honest with you, I speak for the black community because I'm a black man. A lot of people do not know that they have access to the city council meeting, which is once a month. I think every Wednesday or Thursday a month, twice a month now. Okay, they need people to do that. People need to get together and say that.
First and third Mondays for the cities.
See, and I think we need to get people together because I do want us to get back to a place where in this town where we can have Color Fest, we can have the car shows, we can have the different events. I mean, Ms. Lewis, I know you remember, we had a parade every holiday. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want us to get, I don't think y'all remember the St. Patrick parade we used to have, but we used to have a parade every holiday. I mean, I want us to get back to a time where we have more fun. And everybody said they want to get back to this 90s feel, but the 90s was more unified. So I do want us to get to that place where we can incorporate everything, but this world is on fire around us. So
but let me say this, and I think before you leave, let me say this, and I think, Ms. Lewis, if you can help me here, I think it's going to be strength in the numbers as far as our youth and the wisdom of those before us coming together and collaborating, because you're going to need that wisdom. I surround myself around people with wisdom all day, every day, because it's important. People call me an old soul. That's fine. I'm cool with that. But I surround myself. We could want these passionate things, but I think we need those people with wisdom. Ms. Lewis, you agree with me on that? I think so.
I think wisdom is definitely important. I think that experience is important as well. And collaboration is always great. Last year, when school was about to start, I did an episode on our couch conversations from 2 women who work in the school system. One worked at a charter school, one works for the public school. And I had them to kind of talk about different things, because there are challenges in the classroom, there are challenges in the school. I mean, it's challenges everywhere. And I thought the wisdom, because I've worked with both of them, the wisdom that they both brought, I think it was just so great to hear from them. So I agree that that is important. I have we're going to have some students on coming up in July, the end of July and the 1st of August, to be able to hear from the student perspective as well, to kind of talk about it and to, what do they want? What do they expect going into 2023, 2024, So I think wisdom
Absolutely.
is
I love that. Are you going to share that information with us so we can be able to
absolutely,
watch it? Okay, share that information with
absolutely.
us. Mr. Green,
All
I
right.
do appreciate you having me on tonight. I don't mean to rush, but
Oh,
I have to go to a
okay.
community meeting
Not a
tonight.
problem.
Thank you so much for having
Hey,
me on.
so before you go,
Yes,
let
sir.
everybody know what is your upcoming endeavors you have, and how can they reach you?
Well, they can reach me on social media. I give my number out because everybody in the city knew I calls it, so it don't matter. So you can reach me at Blakely, Blakely, the number 3.bakes@gmail. You can also reach me on social media on Facebook at Bubba Blake Bakes. And my telephone number, and I'm gonna even give this number out because I don't mind that. You can call that. I don't really care. I got no phone. 919-909-5890. Any way that I can help, and getting the community together. We're going to have some things coming up. I can't prematurely announce that, but we're going to have some things coming up within the next few days that I'm going to be getting with Ms. Lewis. I will be getting with you as a business owner in this community as well, to make sure that we are collaborating and pushing the mission of all of our organization. Eric, you can reach me anytime that I can help
Always,
to be on this platform, to be able to push and bring on some more people of wisdom and also some younger people, so everybody's voice can be heard and we can put action to this, not just having conversation, but putting action behind it. And I think that's the next biggest step. I appreciate this podcast, Eric, and thank you so much, but I do gotta
Thanks,
go.
man.
Y'all take care for the
All
night.
right, I do. All right, Blake. I do your thing. Hey, be out there singing, man. I know you be out there singing. I'll talk to you later, man.
30 years, man. I've been doing that a long time. Take care.
All right, take care, bro. All right, Miss Lewis. Well, I want you to I'll just make sure I get them out here. All right. Before we go, what is your endeavors? What is something that you plan for the future with your organization, and where are we going from here?
We want to continue growing. And so, a couple of upcoming things that we have in April, I'm sorry, not in April, August, the first Saturday in August, I think it's August the 5th, we will be having a community yard sale at our foundation. And that is from 8 to 1, I believe it is. And so information will be posted about that. Actually, tonight I'll post that on our Abrias Chase website page and our Facebook page. And we also have in November the 11th is our cheerleading competition. And that is at Vance Granville, and doors open at 5. And we also have a gala coming up in December. On December the 9th, we have a gala at Vance Granville. So more information on those events will be coming up. We did a clothing giveaway, I think maybe about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. We did a clothing giveaway. Our doors are open every day. It is not just for fire victims. So if you are in need, clothing, furniture, things like that, if you're in need, you're welcome to come to the foundation. We are there to help the community in any way we can. On a personal note, my husband and I do Testimony Tuesday every Tuesday, most every Tuesday. We do Testimony Tuesday. And so that is on Facebook and YouTube as well. And we also do couch conversations. So like I said, at the end of July, and I do flyers for everything. So the end of July, we have that coming up, and the 1st of August. And then in September, We are sponsoring like a resource fair kind of, um, to just show what's in the community. As you know, Blakely was talking about, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
sponsor that coming up soon too. We have support group next Monday. So if you know a parent that is in need, we will be there.
Oh, see, I love that. See, you touching me. I love meeting new people. Hey, hey, yo, but real. But one more thing to let everybody know more about the Abria Chase Foundation and how can they reach you for more information or how to get in touch with you for your meetings. Sorry.
Yep. So you are able to just come to a meeting. You don't have to sign up or do anything like that. You're able to come. It's the second Monday of each month. It is at 6 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
and we are located at 205 Dabney Drive in Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Our doors are open every day from about 10:30 till about 3. Even though I teach, my mom runs the foundation while I'm not there, so she volunteers for us. Um, and so you're able to, yeah, just come by if there's something you're in need of and we're able to get it. We have it in stock. You can get it that day. um we also, we're on social media. Abrias Chase Foundation um is our Facebook page. We also have a website, AbriasChaseFoundation.org. And our service line is 252-430-9913. You are able to call to get in contact with us. Email is Ayana Lewis at AbriasChaseFoundation.org. So you are able to contact me that way as well.
Hey, I love that. See, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for coming on tonight. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having
And
me. I appreciate it.
I always, always. And I would have took my glasses off too, but my eyes get cocked, and I ain't got that. So,
It is okay. It is
yo,
okay.
I gotta. I'm gonna keep them on, man. I don't think anybody want to see that. All right, so let me do my closing. Yo,
All right.
this is your little big brother. This is your little big brother Eric G, and I want to thank each and every one of y'all for watching a brand new episode of Random Thoughts with Eric G. I want y'all to know that all my shows ain't crazy. We have good episodes like this. So I want to thank y'all, man. If y'all want to check out this show plus many more, go like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's Random Thoughts with Eric G. Also find me on Instagram and Twitter, Random Thoughts with Eric G. TikTok's Random Thoughts with Eric G. And I'm on all platforms. That's Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google, Apple. Dang it, if you name it, I'm on it. But yo, I want to appreciate everybody for checking this out, man. And Miss Lewis and Blake too. I want to say y'all make my dreams come true, and I really appreciate this.
Thank you for having me.
So, like I always say, let me end this right here. God bless you. Peace.